Hi, Chris.
Hey, how's it going, Rachel?
Good. I just discovered at the restaurant they're having like songs and guitars, so I'll be needing to mute when someone else is speaking. I hope you can hear me.
No worries, I can't hear you. I forgot my AirPods. I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting for dinner, and it's like literally a flash going on. It's too funny.
Okay. Yeah. So Tommaso can't make it, and I think Mark is going to be joining. Oh, nice to see you. So where did you say where are you going?
I'm going getting ready to eat dinner with my parents, my brother, my sister. But a couple things real quick in case we get cut off. I saw that was it Open.org or whatever that template was, that organization where you can do like an org. I had a quick squiz at it. I will look in greater detail over the next year, and I will put something together in writing before our next meeting. It looks quite promising. Probably the biggest we have to do in terms of banking, because every org in the U.S. That would require U.S.-based person for us in terms of treasury and banking, and that it could limit us a little bit, probably not too much. But if this open org is as promising as it looks on first look,
Okay, great. Thanks, Chris. Oh, hi, Mark.
Can you,
Chris?
I'm
hearing you're getting cut off, and I have such high background noise. I'm not sure I caught everything.
Is that Marty, Rachel? Hey, are you on the state? Are you still on the island?
Yeah, I'm on the island, and I walked across to the restaurant, which is opposite the house, where there's Wi-Fi, but they're having like a guitar evening. So it's
amazing.
Really
Seems like fun.
It is.
How are you, Chris? How have you been?
I'm doing really good, man. How are you?
Great,
can you guys
great.
hear me?
Yeah.
I'm hearing you on and off. I don't know about Mark.
Gotcha.
I think your connection's a bit bad. Maybe I can. I'll try and take away my video, and maybe that'll give us more bandwidth. Let me try.
Gotcha. Can you guys hear me okay?
It sounds better now.
Cool. Awesome.
Mark, why don't you switch off video too, Mark? If you switch off your video,
yeah,
maybe we can hear your voice.
Yeah.
Do we have anybody else who's scheduled?
Sorry, say that again.
Do we have anybody else that's scheduled to come? Because I know Tommaso can't make it. Could Dan make it?
I didn't get any reply from Dan, so let me try shooting him he usually needs like a last minute link, so I'll just get that to him on Facebook and see.
Gotcha.
Chris, did you fly off a plane? How was that? Did you tell us you were gonna do some skydiving last time we spoke?
Yeah, I just got back very late last night from Rhode Island, something called Leap Fest. So we've got a whole bunch of international teams come in for some military parachuting. And we did really well. I did well individually. Our team did well. Everybody's safe. Nobody got hurt. And then my teammates who've never been to the U.S. before, I got them through New York City and like the world's fastest tour of New York City yesterday. And then finally caught up on a little bit of sleep last night.
Wow.
Wow,
Amazing.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Super exciting. Wow. Like you're
Yeah.
non-stop all the time, all of you guys.
Yeah. So how was the jump? Like, did you guys jump recreationally, or there was like it was it was a choreographed jump, or what was it exactly?
Yeah, so the jumping teams of 4 at 1,500 feet. Everybody jumps the same military parachuting system called an SF-10A, and then you jump for speed and accuracy. And we had over 500 jumps. I had the third fastest jump, individual jump, and then I came in 14th overall out of 212. But our team came in 33rd out of 53. So overall, I think we did pretty good. I'm pretty happy with my individual results as well.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I want to write about that, Chris. That's
I mean, it all started by just sort of like facing your fears. Like that was really the start of it. It's something that I was deathly afraid of heights. And then once got through that, then found some joy in it, actually. It's a lot of fun. Look forward to getting out of the plane rather than sitting in it.
Wow, that's amazing, Chris. Such an inspiring story, and I could imagine how it feels. I've done some how do you call them? This tunnel of air
The wind.
gliding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah, but I wonder like how it is to do it actually, and how much time how much time does it stay? Also, something I'm super keen on doing is base jumping, or the suit that you just you glide with that suit.
I will never ever base jump. It's way too dangerous for me. But the wind tunnel training is really good for helping you get to advanced free fall. So it's super useful, not only just for fun, but actual training for learning how to operate in the air. But yeah, now base jumping's not for me. That's for a couple of my crazy friends. I've got kids.
Yeah, I can imagine.
well, it's funny how we rate crazy and dangerous because it's so subjective. Like I'm thinking, I do things that some people think are like really risky, but I don't think I could ever be talked into jumping out of a plane with anything on my back. I don't think I do. Hi, Daniel. So we've got Daniel with us. Hi,
yeah, how are you? I'm here.
Howdy, Dan.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Daniel. How are you?
Calling in from Florida today.
Oh, nice. What are you doing in Florida?
I'm on vacation, but today I'm working on my final week of my first MBA course. So I'm doing homework.
Oh, good.
Amazing.
So it's a working holiday.
Yeah. So everybody else is gone. I've got the condo to myself.
Oh, cool. That's nice.
Nice. Which MBA? Is it an online course? Is it your final course?
Yeah, no, it's completely online, and it's the first course. It's the same one. So Andrew Nguyen from MIT, the boot camp, he's the one that turned me on to it. So it's called University of the People, and it's accredited online program. But yeah, it's been pretty tough. It's I finished my Harvard Master's last year, and that was a lot easier than this online program this year. So we'll see how it goes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. And what incentivized you after your Harvard degree to do that online?
So the Harvard degree I got in sustainability and environmental management. So it's on my path where I'm trying to get in doing renewable energy as kind of a startup. But I need more kind of background and expertise in finance and kind of the money and economic side of things and management side of things. So I decided to look at MBA programs, and I looked at all the traditional ones, but I'm still working full time, actually 2 jobs. I've got my own company and I still work. And so I needed something I could do online if I could. And this one came up. It's very inexpensive. And it's accredited in the US, but it's not well known yet. So we'll see how it goes.
Great. Seems exciting. Seems amazing. Great I think great job coordinating all this together and you know, taking that all into consideration. I think it's gonna really pay off, and I'm checking it out. Like, it really looks legit. So great stuff. I hope you enjoy your stay in Florida and complete your course fruitfully.
Yeah, I have until let's see, 11:55 p.m. tonight. Then it's done for this term. So.
Nice.
Oh, so you have a hard deadline today.
Yeah. So I've got, I pretty much have everything done. We got our group project in. That was the big challenge because you're trying to coordinate 6 people in 6 different time zones around the world, kind of like this call, right? Yeah, and then, you know, only half of us speak English, but it has to be written in English. So it's just been an interesting process. But it's going okay.
Yeah, I think there's.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot bigger trend now to complete courses, degrees online, and I think that's where we're in line. I think part of the MIT bootcamp experience post the bootcamp is like the sense of community, the sense of online learning. You know, so yeah, it's exciting. It seems very interesting. I'm taking a few courses too online, but and one of them is the MIT supply chain, like MicroMasters. And it's very interesting how once you complete it, you can just go for 4 months to MIT and just complete a full degree. So it's really interesting. Good luck. And seems great. I actually have an announcement to make. My birthday is coming up in the next 40 minutes. I'm going to turn 28. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited.
Oh
yeah.
So we get to be the first ones to say happy birthday.
Maybe, yes, definitely.
Get the record. How old are you? What age are you turning, Mark?
I guess 28. Yeah, that's what I remember. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Like, we have so many different ages. This is also really, really amazing to think that, like, you know, we're speaking across decades actually, which is that's such an interesting thing about boot camp. I think just pulling together all these different ages. I had no idea you were so young, actually.
We're all very young.
Eldest. Young at heart for sure, but like, you're the age of my eldest daughter, basically.
Wow, nice. I didn't know you had children. You had who else has children? Chris and Dan as well?
Yeah, I've got 2 teenagers.
Yeah, and I have an 11-year-old boy.
Amazing. And Rachel, your girl is how old? How young?
But I have 5 children, and my eldest is 26 and my youngest is 15.
Wow, nice. Amazing.
Yeah. And so it's 4 girls and 1 boy.
Wow, that's a big family.
Yeah, it's a big family. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're spanning different generations, which is great. And that's also, we have these different levels of like just inputs from so many angles, which I think is great.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely. I actually was at a client's meeting and like, he just spoke about how the difference in generations this really help and really complement each other. And yeah, it's really like, it gives different perspective, and it's one of the key components, I think, of community, is to have the sense of diversity. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here. And actually, I sent an email to Maria recently, and I'm excited to see what she's gonna reply. So we could take the steps accordingly. And yeah, and last meeting was hilarious. Like, we had so much fun with Tommaso, and yeah, I'm happy to be connecting with Daniel and Chris. So yeah, so how do you usually do this? So do we have like so we discuss like the latest points? Do we Like,
Well,
what's on the?
there were a couple of items that Rachel mentioned that I just was hoping to cover real quick because I'm going to have to cut away shortly. I got to catch up with dinner with family,
Okay.
but we've got
Yeah.
heaps of time every week from here at the scheduled time. But the ones that come up is I was trying to open it up on my phone in the car, but there was the suggestion of the open org or the open collective. I had a good look at that earlier today, and I think it looks pretty promising as a possible alternative away from when we were talking about, say, a 503 last week or the other week. It may be a simpler, easier way to organize our community online. So what I commit to doing is I will have something in writing, a bit of an analysis for all of you to go over before we get on to this call next week, and sort of like weigh the benefits, the upside and downside for the various options that we've got, probably narrowed down to the two big ones. And then the other thing was Rachel had mentioned sort of floating the idea of how committed are we to, the name MBA2. I'm not wedded to it. It's probably worth reiterating is it was just a bit of serendipity, came up with something. It was probably the best way to describe it is it's like a placeholder name. Much like some of us are placeholders. I definitely see myself as a placeholder until we can get a proper vote in and do this democratically and get some other folks more engaged and involved in our leadership team.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, that's great. Because yes, that was kind of brainstormed very quickly, and it's good to know that you also feel like it could be a placeholder. I think it'd be really nice to have the community's voice on it at some point. So let's wait for Memo to come up with his ideas, and maybe we can then kind of have an open discussion and maybe a voting process so that we actually come up with something that that pleases the majority, which would be nice.
Yeah.
I still I like MBA too because I'm attached to it, of course, because it was kind of like the first name.
But if we want to change it, I'm all for changing it. The only thing is I would want to have a pretty high bar. I'm hoping our community come up with something super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and just so you know, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Rachel.
No, please go ahead.
No, I was just going to add, so to that, so sort of on the same conversation. So I did talk with Andrew last week. We had a call for about an hour and kind of talked about the 503C idea. His big thing was about naming, right? So that, we can't call anything MIT, and it's hard to be associated with MIT unless you have MIT in the name of what we're associated with. And so his suggestion was that we could look into, one, trying to form a club at MIT, which would require that we know someone that's a student at MIT. And we used to with Jin, but I think she's graduated now. The other thing we could do is interface through the MIT's Alumni Association. So each alumni group in each city, it has its own governance. And so we could potentially partner up with an existing MIT Alumni Association and become kind of a group within that Alumni Association, which would give us access to kind of the MIT name and those things, but we wouldn't have to go through MIT's licensing office, which is what Andrew said was kind of a sticking point. So it's a little bit deep in the weeds, but I just wanted to let you know we had that conversation and kind of we're talking about the idea of a 503C, the idea of going through an alumni association, the idea of looking at doing it as a student group, two of which would allow us to keep MIT actually in the name. So in the MBA2, we could say MIT boot camps instead of just MBA2, but just some things to throw out.
That's really good to know. Thank you. I remember there was someone from class 4 who said that like his father was on the MIT board or some advisory board or something. And I don't know whether that's still the case because that was back in 2016. So maybe I could try to reach out to him and see whether he can help in any way with that, maybe, if he has like a super direct connection.
Yeah, I mean, if we call it MBA2 or something similar that doesn't actually have MIT in the name, then we're fine. We can do any organizational structure we want. It won't matter. The only thing is, are we going to be capturing the true intent? I mean, I think a lot of people go to this because it's MIT, right? If this had been done by a university, the people, no one would have paid $6,000 to go, basically. So,
True, yeah.
Yeah, so I just think it's one of those considerations as we're building this out, to just keep in the conversation, I guess.
Yeah, it's a funny one, eh? Like I'm really, really, really pro intellectual property rights of the intellectual property holder, but in the same respect, I think when it comes to this, we do have some sort of right, however limited it may be. So perhaps maybe it is a name, but in the description, it describes who we are, which is the MIT boot camp graduates. So I think like surely somewhere in there, we would be allowed to be in a safe and possibly just slightly gray area. But surely we've got some rights as having graduated from it to describe ourselves as such collectively.
Yeah, I think
if
that's a great
title description.
Yeah, that's a great point. So call it whatever we want, just put a colon and, you know, as you said, a group of MIT boot campers or whatever the name is. I like that.
Yes, and I'm also suddenly reflecting on the fact that when I did the teacher boot camps, we kind of graduated from that with the right to use MIT Knowledge Partners in whatever title we wanted to use in the context of, you know, teaching entrepreneurship. So I think in that sense, we can't just have MIT as a logo, as a brand, but if we have it within a tagline or some sort of a thing, then maybe that would actually work. Because we have the same sort of issues with Presencing Institute and ULab. So, for example, those are Presencing Institute and ULab in theory, you cannot be used on their own on a page by anyone else. But if it's in a paragraph, then it's different. So there's kind of like these technicalities around IP, which we can probably use to our advantage.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think because we're referenced as MIT boot campers, so I think it's a great idea. I agree with all what you said, Chris, Daniel, and Rachel about including the name and whether it has relevance. I think also the idea that Chris mentioned about Dan, mentioned about the kind of the groups or the MIT associations to be associated to them. I think it might work for a while until like it can be an alternative for having us as a legal association. That is a good idea. Actually, it's one of the alternatives, and I guess we could dig deeper into it and to see which actually which clubs or associations would be willing to associate themselves or support us. That's for that side. For the I'm also very pro IP, so I guess the namings, then the legalities is also super important. The thing I would really want to expand on is the fact of really taking the lead and going either through the bootcamp founders and the open learning team and being, listen, these people need a voice. These people want to have a way to voice their opinion on many aspects of the bootcamp. So you guys have to, since it's a murky area and it's a gray area, you guys have to give us the direction, who to talk to, who to speak to. Is this something to be taken to the board of MIT? Is this something to be taken to the student association, to the Senate? Because I think these sort of things should be written in a bylaws format where there's some sort of entity that would represent these types of open learning communities. So I think that's a path that I'm digging into, and I hope to get more insight on that. So I hope that Maria would be the key person here to take this to the next step. So yeah, this is what I'm doing from my end, and yeah, I'm taking it step at a time. But this is all great. I agree with all what you said. The final note is to include the names and the actually request to support in the survey. So we included in our survey advice from the community on, okay, what to do. Does anybody have any insight on how to become an association in MIT? And we could also propose a couple of names and leave some open doors for some open suggestions on namings. So this is also an option. If you'd like that, we can include in the survey. Just let me know when you'd like to post it. Chris, Dan, if you've went over it, or if you want to give it one more week to go over it, and we could post it to the community next week if you'd like.
So regarding posting the survey, I think there's just one milestone we need to hit still, which is for Maria to get back to us regarding the cohort naming, because we inside the Mighty Networks, we at some point did create a list because we were trying to just identify people according to cohort. But I don't know whether you saw, I think I remembered to copy all of you guys into the mail to Maria, but she was going to also speak about this with the team, because she said she's there since January and she wasn't quite sure how this is being handled. But I think it'd be really great to have a perfect alignment between bootcamp team and us to know like how we are naming these, because the first few classes were named like class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when it got to 6, it kind of got funny because there was IoT, which wasn't class 6. Class 6 was Taiwan food, the food boot camp. And from then on, the class numbers disappeared. And then there were these new names, which was like, it went from being the global entrepreneurship boot camp to different sorts of boot camp. There was healthcare, there was now deep tech, there's going to be the sports one. So there isn't like, at the moment, there doesn't seem to be a coherent coding, manner of coding. So I think it'd be nice, since we are asking in the survey, we're asking people which one they belong to. It'd be nice that we have coherence across the line with boot camp team. So Maria said she should be able to give us an answer by the end of this week, and I'll shoot a reminder to her if I don't hear back by Friday. So maybe let's Mark, let's aim to get it out next week. That way also Daniel and Tommaso and Chris can have the time to look at it if they want to add anything. I think we lost Chris, right? He said he would have to be unplugged.
Yeah, so the one question about what Chris was talking about, he was talking about it sounded like it might have been an online organizational structure or an online meeting format. What was he talking about there?
Oh, I'm going to send you, Daniel, I actually posted this into a little note in our governance circle. I'm just going to put the link in chat. So okay. There was a quick update. When I spoke yesterday to the 24 hours event, small team, it came, well, hang on, where did I write this? Branding ideas. Oh yeah, there's something called the Open Collective. So it just happened that we were talking about the association maybe taking on a legal form. So if you look in the article, it's the second bullet point under wording and naming. And one of the participants said, there is something called the Open Collective, which is an alternative way of setting up an association. I haven't really looked at it in depth, but Chris said he'd investigate that and then see the pros and the cons. So it's a different way of formalizing a network, and it's a very open way. And I'm not quite sure how it works, but it could offer possibilities that could be more aligned with the spirit of what we're doing, because what I have observed up to now with our network is that many things happen organically, and by the time we try to put structure around some things, it actually stifles creativity in some instances, which doesn't mean that we have to do away with structures at all or completely, but I think it's worth looking at different possibilities, because there's just so many new things that are being made available, also through crowd intelligence. And maybe this Open Collective could be one way to look at how we give a shape to our network or association. And that's also why I was also kind of questioning again, are we using the word alumni and association, or should we be talking more about community? Because Guillermo, he's working on creating some branding for what we are setting up as the boot campers publication on Medium. And as he was working on that, he was suddenly thinking, do we really want to keep calling ourselves like MIT Bootcamp alumni, or are we the bootcamp community maybe? So that's just like an open question and something we might want to look at. But I was intrigued and happy about the idea that we don't necessarily need to fixate on one thing or just keep using it just because we've done it until now. And when there's a new idea coming in, it's nice to throw it around and just see, what happens to it and where I think words actually embed meaning. So maybe if we change the words, we might change the energy around things too. So
I just typed it in there. So we could be called the Community of MIT Bootcamp Alumni Associations. How's that?
That's a mouthful.
That includes them all. What would that be?
Yeah. What would be the acronym?
There we go. Okay, that's just a joke.
Yeah, that's cute. And so Guillermo will be sharing, like, he had lots of ideas on how to create a logo. So if we were to move away also from this logo, which is actually, I think it's probably MIT Bootcamp IP, probably, this logo, we've been using it kind of without asking for permission. Nobody's told us off so far, but he had a really nice idea with a grid of 4x4 dots that could be also linked together in many ways, so that if we create like local chapters, each one could have its own color. Anyway, I won't go into that now, but he'll be sending in. So also that, Mark, I thought would be nice if he had a few images that we could throw into the survey and see like what sort of reaction we're getting from the community. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Yeah, that's a great idea. Definitely.
Oh, and I have an exciting update regarding the publication. So actually, Dan, maybe you didn't know about this, but we've kind of started to think that it'd be really nice to have a container space online where everyone from Bootcamp who is publishing things could actually slot whatever they've written into this space. So it would be like a kind of ongoing magazine for Bootcampers. And that would include, first of all, pulling into it all of the articles that people have been spontaneously writing about their bootcamp experience and putting them into one section of this publication. So today I reached out to Mark Ridley from Class 4, who had written a wonderful series of 8 articles about his experience at bootcamp, and it's really witty, it's really well written. And he immediately answered yes. So I've already pulled all of his articles into the publication. I'll send you, I'll put the link in the notes. And in the same way, there are other things published. And I also know that the bootcamp team, the official bootcamp website did have a press section where some of the articles referenced there were written by alumni. So we have alumni who are already publishing on their own autonomously on Medium. But Medium also allows us to import articles if we have the author's authorization. So we could, I'm doing like a Google search to just see who has published stuff on bootcamps. And then I think it'd be also really interesting to have not just bootcamp stories, but also things that are happening after bootcamp, right? So what are people up to if they want to write about their startup? And it would also be really nice to have a section where we publish all the alumni profile interviews so that people can, so we have 3 so far and they've been published in the Mighty Networks, but that doesn't allow them to be shared outside. And I remember like Nancy, when I did hers, she said, oh, how can I share this like to my outer circle of friends and people who are not boot campers? And at the time we created a PDF that she was circulating, but that's different from having actually something online that you could just link to. So having that same article put onto Medium would actually make it much more useful for everybody. And I think it would also create more community awareness, not just for the boot campers themselves, but also for our community towards the outer world, and so that people can actually see into our space without entering like the private space of Mighty Networks, but it would just be like a window for us to be looking through both in both directions.
Yeah, I know Jin Woo from my class. She's got a Medium page, and she posts on there some really good content. I've looked at doing it myself. I haven't done it yet. I know it costs a little bit of money to do it the right way. So until I get
why does it cost money? You mean on Medium?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to publish and then yeah, you get certain amounts for free, but if you're going to do a lot, you've got to pay a little bit. I forgot what the
really? Because I thought the paying part was only if you wanted to have curated reading. Because I published not a lot. I've published a bit, but I haven't run into having to pay for anything so far. And
yeah, I guess maybe when I was looking at it, that's what I was looking at doing. I'll find it. Yeah. But no, I love the idea.
So I'll just give you the link. I'm going to post it into our notes so you can actually see it. There we go. It's up. Sì.
Sono stata qualche medica, gli ha dato il cortisone e un antistaminico. Ha detto
sorry, my son's got a rash. We don't really know what happened to him, so he went with my husband to the emergency room. He's got like an allergy to something. Oh, Medium, add, draft, or post. Yeah. So Mark, we've been using this. Yeah, that's a link I actually shared with Mark. So yeah, that's great. So this explains how people can either submit a draft, or what's really great is you can also submit something that you've already published. So for example, when I published my article back in 2016, and also Mark Ridley's articles are from 2016, and now they're in the publication and they appear as having been published back then. So it's just it just pulls it in. And then there's this import functionality, which is really great. So that way we could build up the community and have our own, like just our own space for publishing, which I think is really interesting. And that's an easy way to harness people's writing talents. And I think the more we get it, the more we are able to pull into it, and the more we get people engaged in it, the more momentum it's just going to build up, because then everyone will be happy to. So it's always like, you know, when you have this empty space, you need to first start to populate it, and then it gains credibility.
Yeah, that's great. I really love it. I think it's a great initiative. So what would be the next step? Like how would, like if any member of the community want to write something now, like how do they do that? Or like how would you?
So we need to iterate this. We need to iterate this. So one idea was to maybe give out some guidelines, but I think anyone who has like a writing impulse or a writing capacity, I would not try to constrain that to any kind of a format. So I think at the moment there are 4 of us who are kind of technically editors of the publication. So it means that if something's really, really bad, embarrassingly bad, we could either turn it down, or the editors can go in and just turn it into something publishable, right? So I think it's best left as free as possible so that everyone can find their own way of expressing what they want to say. And then if there's like really huge language issues, then the editors will just take it upon themselves to edit, to make it appropriate. So if any of you are interested in becoming editors, just let me know. So you need to have a Medium profile, but all you need to actually activate that is to link. You just activate it through signing in. You register either through Google or Facebook. I use Google, and then you immediately have a profile, which if you haven't published any articles, you can still have a profile, and it allows you to comment on other people's articles within Medium. So there's just this, but Medium is like a really great way to reach huge audiences, because then they have they have a tagging system, and in the end you can flag the things that you're interested in reading, so it actually reaches like it reaches like sometimes I'm surprised at getting claps or likes from people. I have no idea like how they ever got to my article. I guess it's through the tags. So yeah, this help article is useful. I'm going to copy and put it into the document too. And so I think it's again one of these things where you evolve it as you go along. So we build it as we experiment with it. And the good thing also about Medium is you can always go back and edit anything that's been published at any time. So if there's an inaccuracy, if you want to add a video, if you want to change your update, if you want to change a sentence, you can always go back and change it. So it's super flexible. It's really easy to publish from your phone even. So it's a very, very user-friendly thing. And I did see that Bootcamp, there's actually a Bootcamp's publication on Medium, and I went and saw, because I was doing a search to see who else had published, and there was actually a publication, I think, set up by Bootcamp team. I suspect it was set up by Thomas, but I don't know, because it has a few articles, and they were all published between October and November 2018, and then there's been nothing since then. And it had a little bit of a promotional slant to it. So let me see if I can find it again. It was like why you should go for boot camps, and it was kind of like a bit of a promo thing. So I'm just slightly concerned it could be like overlapping a little bit, but I also have this feeling that nobody's curating it at the moment. It may have been Andrew, it may have been Thomas, it might be Maria. I'm almost tempted to not actually investigate because I don't think it really matters. And if we can get this one going, I just think it adds a lot of value to the community. So hang on, Medium, MIT Bootcamp. I'm just going to find that one. And yeah, so it's called MIT Bootcamp's Medium. And hang on, I'm putting it into the chat. So this is it, and it has learn how these innovators. So yeah, so those are like testimonials. Learn how these innovators started new social ventures. This bootcamp will be the most intense educational experience of your life. So it's not published by a single author. It's just underneath the flag of MIT bootcamps in general. Why MIT bootcamps continue going global, how to leverage MIT Bootcamp to transition. So it's like a promotional thing. The first article is posted in October of 2018, and it's about Bill Olet and his 7 lessons. So it just feels like it was the beginning of something that didn't really take off or have like the last articles from November 5th.
Yeah, I posted a similar one. It's called MIT 15.390X. And it's back in 2015, so that's when I was in the boot camp. So,
oh right,
similar thing. It's only a couple of articles. And,
So maybe I'm thinking at some point what we could do is once we have a little bit of traction on Oz, we could also reach out to the bootcamp team and ask them about this publication they'd started, and maybe if they don't have, as I suspect they don't have time to curate it, maybe we could ask them whether we can have theirs republished in ours under some kind of thing like news section or updates from boot camps or whatever, because that way what the work that they've done on this wouldn't be lost either. It would just be channeled into a new space where hopefully there'd be much more exposure for them as well, because I'm always for just enhancing the work of everyone and not just like trying to overdo someone else, but to actually take what's been done and give it more space and more life.
Yeah, I can see also they haven't got a lot of traction. I mean, your article is doing really well so far, I think, compared to what they've done. So yeah, that's great. I think let us know how we can like support also this track or this venture, this posting via Medium. It seems like it's great. Like it's very exciting to be able to write about different stories and like I think also it gives a different view to the community. It gives more personalized stories. Like I'm actually I'm trying to find yours again on Facebook. Yeah, I would love to reread that. I think it gives a lot of perspective, so it's really really good. I was also wondering, Rachel, like we lastly spoke about with Tommaso about the initiative on the failures. This was really exciting too. Like, I wonder, like, what's like, how can we like, can we start maybe like, can we include it in the survey, for example, and see if they would be interested on launching something like that, or should we just launch an initiative on it, or shall I maybe like maybe next week we could talk with Tommaso more about it, because it seemed like really like breaking the ice, like doing that openness. I really felt good about that initiative. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I hear you, and I thought there was a lot of good energy around that. I would personally not mix it up with the survey on association, because it would just it would become too complex, I think, and it would be a different topic. How I see it working actually is, so by the end of August at the latest, we will have finished posting back into the community all the single videos that have been born out of the 24 hours experience. And by that time, I think also when we reach the beginning of September, people will be back from holiday. And so maybe that would be the right moment to say, like, now that we've done the 24 steps in a kind of presentation approach, also because, we've also noticed that it's not getting that much dialogue. It's not generating that much dialogue now, partly because of the timing, and partly because maybe just posting a video and saying, put your comments here, is not actually engaging people. So maybe when that's over, so that we're not like doing 1,000 things at the same time and people are confused about where to put their focus, maybe we could try and come up with a plan for September on how to launch this other, like this follow-on idea. So Mark, do you want to kind of tell Daniel quickly what kind of emerged from that? Because I think maybe Daniel doesn't really know.
Yeah, sure. Actually, Daniel, Tommaso came up with the idea of basically, okay, now we've been looking at the 24 steps to launch a successful startup. So it seemed like it's giving this shiny, good look to the community. And his hypothesis was the more the community is vulnerable. So speaking maybe about their failures, the more there is engagement, the more the sense of community can engage and be more open to that sense of vulnerability. So it was really interesting, and we spoke a lot about making it also humorous, like a funny way to maybe catch on also the initiative of the 24 hours 24 steps and 24 hours, to maybe use the same naming, maybe 2.4 minutes of failures in startups, and make a funny aspect to it. Maybe also gamify it, make it, okay, whoever gets the funniest laughs to it. So, and we really had a lot of laughs, and we all the three of us really shared some, failures, and really bonded on that. And we really felt the good energy, like Rachel was saying. So we're very excited about this, and we feel like we want to just, not like put a format to it, or not a format, or just find a way just to launch it in the right time, or when in September, like Richard said. So it seems exciting. Let us, what do you think about it? Like in general, let us know what you think. Rachel, if I missed anything, let me know. Just this is what I could catch now.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary of what happened during that call. And Daniel, if ever you want us to, I think did we record it, Mark? I can't remember. If it's recorded, it's in.
It
should be circle. It should be posted in the circle.
Yeah, I'm trying. I love the idea. I'm trying to think. It's either Harvard or MIT. I don't know which. Have a live thing where they do this, where they get together and they basically tell their war stories, the worst things that have happened. I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it right now. But no, I love the idea.
Because it's a good way to kind of exercise failure and learn from it through making it lighthearted. So and I think it also opens up the space for people to be more vulnerable with each other, because one of our observations with the 24 hours is like everyone's like putting on their best capacity to say like what they had been doing and what was working, and what about all of that part that's not being addressed of, you know, things going wrong, which can be really humorous if we look at it the right way, otherwise we just cry together.
Yeah, I think definitely. I had something to say. I forgot what it was. I got off track here, but yeah, I'm in. They're calling them failure open mic nights, as some of these that I'm seeing. But yeah, I think it's great to share. We all curate our lives, right? Online, we're always making our lives better than they really are, and I think that's true probably of entrepreneurs more than anybody, because everybody wants to be a success, right? So makes it more human this year.
Exactly. And it's incredible how much energy is actually released when you admit to vulnerability. I saw that happen with the 24 hours event. Like when I was feeling completely stuck and I was trying to decide like where to draw the line. And when I said, I have no idea whether this is going to work, suddenly everybody was really fired up about the fact that it might not even work. So what do you put in place just as a safety net? So like your suggestion, Daniel, that was just priceless, to say like, get as many pre-records as you can. And that was just a godsend. I think that really made the difference between the event pulling off properly and not working. So having the pre-records, and it was really interesting because the pre-records you can't really distinguish the pre-records from the actual live presentations almost. I mean, you have to really pay attention to understand whether the person is presenting live or not. And like that was a huge key piece that kind of just made it work. And yeah, and when a team is working together and there's this honesty about not really knowing and like what's the worst scenario, and once you're comfortable with that, then a lot of good energy comes out of that. So I think being honest with each other, and that's what we did at boot camp, right? When the teams broke down and people were like all over the place and in a mess emotionally and from an organizational point of view, and then the magic just happens from there. So I think we all know about that instinctively. Yeah. Oh, and Mark, I had a question for you about, so I remember in one of the earlier calls you mentioned like you might have a dialogue with Sanjay. Is that is that still a possibility?
Yeah. I actually do. So I have him on email and WhatsApp. We spoke like a week earlier last month on our latest call, the first call actually. I would reach out to him concerning this what we're trying to, like, the association, once we have something more mature, I think. So we actually know what exactly we're asking him, and actually I referenced to him on my latest email that we will follow up on several points of discussion, including the MIT Alumni Association. But I hadn't mentioned to him on the phone. I just put it in there, so he, you know, whenever we talk again, it's in there, right? So yeah, I think Sanjay would be great. He's such an inspiration, and especially in the open learning field. So yeah, so I think at the right time we could actually tailor and attempt an email to him altogether. That would be great.
that sounds good. Is there anything else? Because I'm just, oh yeah, since you're here, Dan, like we were trying to decide what would be the best day of the week in general for governance meetings. Of course, admitting that like there's always going to be someone who can't participate for one reason or another. So the preferred day seemed to be at the moment on Wednesdays, like today, but we're kind of hoping that you would express whether you had a preference. If you don't, it doesn't really matter, and we can always kind of be flexible about it, but it'd be nice to just know which date to keep free for that.
No, I think, and I don't have a preferred day. The time of the meeting right now, it's 4 o'clock my time. So when I'm at work, sometimes I have meetings that I can't get out of, but generally there's not a lot of meetings at 4 o'clock. And if we make it either a weekly call or a bi-weekly call or a monthly call, if whatever it is, we put it on the calendar for a whole year at a time, then I can book that time out in advance.
Okay.
And we kind of do that, but I'm not very good at, I wait till I get the invitation. So.
Yeah. So I think like going forward, it would be more suitable for all of us to have it bi-weekly. But at the moment, we've been having it weekly because we're trying to get a few specific things done. And because we've had like very partial participation between one and the next. So let's, shall we schedule the next one for next Wednesday and just see who can make it. But I think it'd be nice to have that so we can then get the survey out. What do you think, Mark?
So if I can make it next Wednesday, I'll be calling it from New Haven, Connecticut. So
nice. Always from somewhere different.
Yeah.
I'll be doing my last one from Greece next week, and then I'll be back in Italy. Okay.
Amazing. I'll be still in Cairo, trying to reach my goals or making it or breaking it. So yeah, I'll be here and yeah.
Oh yeah, how's it going, Mark? How's your make or break going?
It's a tough journey, Rachel. It's ups and downs. Like today, I thought I was gonna close like with clients like a deal like in August, and it seems like there's a 1 week vacation holiday in Egypt, and the clients are traveling all of a sudden, so it's gonna be pushed to September. But yeah, but I'm keeping up the faith, and I really need to rest. Because I feel really low on energy. I feel like psychologically, I want to take like a real break, like 3 days of just zoning out and just relaxing and resting. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'll be traveling to Sharm el-Sheikh. It's a beautiful, beautiful place where I got raised in Egypt. I'll actually send you the location. You're more than welcome to come anytime. Rachel, Dan, it's just amazing. So I'll be there. Huh?
Thank you. That's very sweet of you. I think I've had a lot of holiday.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of. Well, I never really unplugged, but I've overdone it a bit. So I'm making up through working from here. Oh yeah, Sham. So we always pronounce it wrong, right? But I know a lot of people go there. It's like a huge destination for people. So we like a lot of Italians go there, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of Italians go there, and it's an amazing place. It's like located and very like between two streams of water, so it collects a lot of sediment. So it's one of like the top diving places in the world. Has real desert, sea, so it's really nice, beautiful. But you deserve it, Rachel. You deserve your vacation. Come on, enjoy every second and enjoy it. Really, you deserve it.
Okay, so we hit the top of the hour. Do you want to put up back your video and we'll just do a screenshot, Mark?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Because we took out video because Chris had bad bandwidth.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, you ready, guys? Oh, you're combing your hair. Okay, let me just check it. Oh, you look very, very lively in that one. Okay, great. Thank you. So thank you also for setting up the Google Doc notes. That was very efficient of you. It's great. So we have this just running document with all the last points that we can refer back to. I'll be posting just the link to the video tomorrow and the link to the document. And maybe I'll just copy and paste some of it and put it in our Mighty Network circle, because that's it's nice to have like all the sequence and all the log of things that happen.
Yeah,
Great.
I love your posts, Rachel. They're super like fun, updatey, like, you know, I love it. I feel like this is it's amazing. It's super energetic and it keeps me going. So I really want to thank you for this. And Dan, good luck on your MBA, man. I really
Your deadline.
Yep. Down to 6 hours, no problem.
Let us know. Give us news on, like, are you getting results, or how does this work? Like, when do you know?
So the funny thing about this course is we have to grade each other. So I have to grade 3 other students' work. Every time I write a paper, I have to grade 3 papers. So it's like 4 times as much work. And so we turn it all in tonight at 11:55 U.S. Central Time. And then you have a week then to grade everybody's papers from this week. So I submitted a paper last night. We submitted a group paper today, and then I've got to submit a writing assignment today. So I won't find out my grade for the stuff I'm doing today for a week, basically. But
is that a trustworthy? Is it a trustworthy system? What if you have someone crazy who's grading you? What happens then?
So then you get a bad grade. So you complain to the professor, which is what we've done. So when we started out, they give you this rubric, and the rubric is really tough. And so we started with about 30 students in my one course. Right away, the first 2 weeks, we lost about half of them just because they just weren't able to do the work. So then, you know, we're down to 12 now in the class. And my group of 6, we've got 2.5, I'd say, that are kind of A students, and then the rest are kind of C students. But we're grading each other, right? So I've gotten some students that had given me 3s out of 10 on some assignments. And I've never gotten a 3 out of 10 in my life. Even I just can't even imagine that. So so it was tough. So we've been having lots of conversations offline and saying, okay, what is a fair grade? You know, like when I went to Harvard, I mean, I got 1 A-, but otherwise it was all A's, right? But then, Harvard's known for grade inflation. So was I being graded too liberally? I don't know. But in this course, I'm sitting right at an 85%, which is a B. If I get an extra credit assignment done, I might be able to get that up to an A-. But yeah, getting a 4.0 GPA in this program is going to be tough.
Wow. Because we had self-grading. We did peer grading, I think, for 102 when I took it, like Entrepreneurship 102. I actually really enjoyed it because by the time I was correcting other people's work and I reread my own, it just gave me completely new insights for having read the way other people had gone about it. And also some of the feedback I got was really brilliant and some was like completely off the mark. It was like this, they haven't even read what I wrote. So it's kind of tricky, isn't it, to have this peer grading?
That's exactly the situation I'm in. So it's great because one, you have to know the material in order to grade other people. So that's good. And then I do get excellent feedback, right? Because people have different perspectives. So when you're in a normal course that has one TA, you're getting the same, everybody's getting basically the same feedback. And then I've also graded at both MIT and on the Harvard's online in the MIT's online boot camp and at 2 Harvard courses. And when you have more than one TA in a course, you quickly realize that the 2 TAs are grading completely differently, right? So the class is getting graded more stringently than the other half of the class. And in this case, when you've got 12 people grading, because they have 3 grading each paper, you get some kind of an average, but you're still going to have some people that are grading a lot more stringently and some people grading a lot more leniently. So, and you can't really get a statistical analysis with 3 people, right? You need more people to get statistical analysis.
So it needs refining, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it's a new program. They've been around 10 years, but they're just starting to build out. So they've got around 20,000 students now. So, so they're really starting to put it through the test. It's basically like a startup, right? So they're figuring out as they go. So,
yeah.
But you only pay $200 a course for a master's level course. So the other $8,000 you'd be paying to Harvard or somebody else is, you know, that's the grading. So
Yeah.
we get that for free.
So let us know how it goes. In the meantime, if you have any news.
And Andrew's taken courses. So, and I think there's a few other people, both from MIT and from the Harvard program I went to, taking it. So it'll be interesting to see how these folks that have been through the kind of higher level programs are going through this startup kind of program and see how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll write a Medium post about it.
Do.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing, because we're all like nonstop learners. I think everyone who's done boot camp, like we've got this thing that we want to keep learning. And I must say, like online courses have changed my life completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Good luck, Dan. We believe in you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, it's great. Thanks for the quick reminder before you got here, Rachel. It was good to.
Yeah, I know how to catch you now, Dan. I know
perfect.
how to capture you.
That's why you're the cat. That's why you're the cat wrangler.
Yeah, and you're a special cat, so I need a special method for you. Okay. Have a good evening or afternoon.
Yep.
And see you again soon.
All right.
Take care.
Bye. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Bye.